Welcome to the week 2 of March 2026 nutrition class series. Today we are taking forward our discussion from last week and see how heart healthy recommendations can be extended following a Mediterranean lifestyle. And Mediterranean lifestyle is a practical way to healthy, vibrant heart health, cancer risk reducing. You can plug in whatever you want there to eating and lifestyle. So what are we going to discuss today? We are going to explore the basics of Mediterranean eating pattern, see what the Mediterranean dietary guidelines are and the correlation between Mediterranean diet or lifestyle and health and disease. We'll dig into the research today, and there are two foods that I want to highlight today. One is olive oil and the second one are the herbs, right? There is only one slide or two slides for herbs. It will be a disservice if I don't come back to that again, because Mediterranean is really deep in using herbs. The herbs have bioactives, so we will do a sneak peek into that. And then today our cooking demo is hummus at home. So definitely stick till the end so that you can see how to do it, okay? So last week we discussed about heart health, we discussed about blood markers, and we actually committed on doing 3 practices: slowing down before your meals, moving for at least 30 days per day, and scanning your kitchen zones for those processed foods which have either a lot of added salt and added sugar, and making the choice to either have it in your kitchen or getting it out of your kitchen zone. So curious to know how, if any of you experimented these actions.
I did.
You did?
I found something healthy. Huh.
Oh, okay.
And I made it put it into a salad.
Wow, okay. So you experimented using whole grains, farro, and then you put it into a salad. Thank you for sharing that. So what are the basics of Mediterranean dietary pattern? In the next slide, what I am trying to do here is to actually summarize everything that we did in the last class. We looked at the blood markers for heart health, basically your lipid panel and your blood pressure. We looked at LDL, HDL, triglycerides. We looked at what each is and what is the optimal, desired, normal, above normal, high points for each of those 4 markers. And then we concluded our session last time highlighting the AHA approved dietary recommendations for cardiovascular health, which essentially mentions to emphasize the intake of vegetables, fruits and whole grains, have lower fat dietary products, poultry, fish, legumes, healthy fats from olives, olive oil, seeds and nuts, and of course limit intake of sweets and sugar sweetened beverages and red meat. So having this recommendation, how can we use the guidelines of the widely researched Mediterranean eating pattern to make sure that we are having our heart health in the best possible place, right? So that's the connection between the heart healthy recommendations and the Mediterranean lifestyle or the Mediterranean eating pattern, okay? So the starting point that I want to mention here is there is no single Mediterranean dietary pattern. Ask me why. Do you see here the Mediterranean dietary pattern actually is followed in around blank countries. Can you imagine how many countries around the Mediterranean? Give me a number.
100.
Oh, too high. Anywhere between 10 and 50.
11, 12.
Very close, little bit more.
13.
Oh my goodness, no, it's actually 21 countries, which includes countries in Africa, Spain, Italy, Greece. And researchers have found that the lifestyle and dietary patterns of people who live in these countries help them have a very healthy heart, right? They have very less chronic diseases in their population. And do you think all of these countries follow the same eating pattern? No way, right? So Mediterranean eating pattern is as diverse as the cultures in these countries are. However, there are some common themes around the eating habits and the style of eating and the lifestyle of the cultures in these countries, right? So we will see what are the underlying themes in here. So Mediterranean, and I'm sure you recall this pyramid from our last class, and it's also here in your handout. So the foundation of this pyramid, the foundation needs to be strong, right? The lowest ladder of this pyramid is basically eating together, physical activity, right, and actually enjoying food that is put on your plate, or actually that act of putting together food, the act of cooking food, the act of even collecting food and preparing it, all forms the foundation. And that means that people in these cultures, the Mediterranean cultures, do eat very close to how Mother Earth has made food. There is very less processed food, and when there is very less processed food, there is very less salt, there is very less added sugar, right? So eating very close to how Mother Earth made it. And if you go up the ladder of the pyramid, the second rung of that ladder is basically what to include in every meal. What do you see there to include in every meal? Yes, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, right? And do you see that there are some guidance there regarding how much to include? Around 2 to 3 fruits per meal, or 2 to 3 servings of fruits per meal. Vegetables greater than 2 per meal, right? The serving is actually a cup, so greater than 2 servings of vegetables per meal. And then you do have bread, pasta, rice, couscous, other cereals, but preferably whole grain. So that is the second layer of that pyramid. And above that actually comes, olives, nuts, seeds. In this pyramid, it is all here in the second rung, but in your handout, it's actually divided. You will see that, in the third layer comes olives, nuts and seeds, 1 to 2 times per day. Herbs, spices, garlic, onion, all the flavorings also come in that ladder. And above that you will see dairy, so at least 2 times per day, the lower fat versions, and they actually concentrate a lot on white meat, which is basically fish, seafood, poultry, eggs, cheese and yogurt. That's what they usually go on for protein. And you will see at the top of the pyramid, there is place for red meat and there is place for sweets, right? So in this particular eating pattern, there is no food group that is restricted. It is just the amount and the number of times you include these food groups as part of your eating pattern. So for those of you who enjoy a little sweet at the end of your meal, it's totally acceptable. Just don't make that sweet your main meal, right? So that's the idea there. And you will see that I adapted this pyramid from oldwayspt.org. If you go to their site, you will see recipes pertaining to all the cultures. There is Latin culture based recipes, there is African culture based recipes. It is oldwayspt.org. right? So you can get all the recipes that you want in there. I do want to highlight the beverages that they use. It's mostly water. Wine is basically a little bit. The servings, if you look, it's maybe like 1 tablespoon. That's what they have as part of their eating pattern, red wine basically. So if you have, for us cancer survivors, even wine, I would go for the non-alcoholic variety of red wine so that there is no alcohol in your eating pattern. Okay. Any further insights that you gathered from this side of the handout? Any ahas? More veggies, more fruit?
I need to do more vegetables. I have a hard time finding vegetables in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, at least in your main meals, like your lunch and your dinner, because I don't think morning any of us are ready for that, Otherwise, unless you love a breakfast, savory breakfast bowl, just like a charcuterie board, you can look at breakfast being like, you have some veggies, I don't know, hummus or whatnot, but even oatmeal kind of goes into that pattern too. You can put in fruits instead of any vegetables there. Yeah, so at least in your main meals, the lunch and the dinner, look for that 2 cups of vegetables as part of your eating pattern. Okay.
Do an omelet with spinach and tomatoes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Some other vegetable.
Yeah.
yeah. And or tofu with or tofu with the same vegetables, if you are plant forward, plant based, right? But that's totally taste kind of comes into that picture, right? So moving forward, if we reflect back to that recommendations, Mediterranean way of eating is high in fiber, right? And that high fiber kind of helps bring down your LDL levels, bring down your LDL levels to that healthier, optimal, desired levels. It's very high in omega 3s, which is basically fish and seafood, and that also helps in bringing down the inflammation in your body, right? So next, a curious question for you. The Mediterranean diet is a specific meal plan, true or false? False, right? It's not true. Otherwise, these 21 countries cannot follow a Mediterranean eating pattern. So look at your current eating pattern and see how you can tweak it so that you can be very close to how Mediterranean eating pattern is. Mediterranean eating pattern is very inclusive. There is no food group that is restricted, and it's actually a way of life. It's not like you follow it for a month or 2 and say that I am done. It's a way of life. It actually is that long-term health-oriented vision, meaning, how do I want to spend the last 30 years of my life on this face of earth? That's the vision that, Mediterranean actually propagates, right? And it's actually a version of the plant forward eating pattern. It's a lot of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, olive oil and seafood, and it actually emphasizes fresh food, which means processed food automatically finds its way out of your home. And then experts have found out that this way of eating is actually very health promoting, it is sustainable, and then it is nutritionally complete, right? It actually allows you to have that wide variety of nutrients, be it macro, be it micro. And then there is another point here that Mediterranean way of eating is not macro counting, it's not calorie counting, it's all about, am I able to include that variety of foods as part of my eating pattern, right? So it's a mind shift for certain from that fad diet oriented perspective. Another way to look at your Mediterranean diet, as I mentioned, it's very versatile because a variety of foods fits into the pattern. It covers all major food groups. There is no single food group that is restricted. It is essentially low in saturated fat, and keeping that saturated fat low is actually very important for your heart health. And because it is global, because around 21 countries follow this eating pattern, it comes with, diverse flavors. It actually makes that way of eating, something that you really look forward to, because there is so much of flavor in that Mediterranean way of eating. Anyone here went to the Mediterranean restaurants here in town that you like? Yeah, go ahead. Pasha, yeah. Yeah, Pasha is good. Zelda is another one. Kava is Mediterranean. Yeah, if you want to, it's Chipotle style, but it's Mediterranean based. So that we do have some that are, really Mediterranean oriented here. And I do get often asked the question, what about DASH, dietary approaches for stopping hypertension? DASH is very, very close to Mediterranean eating pattern. It was developed way back in 1997, and it was designed to intentionally have nutrients in appropriate amounts to regulate blood pressure, which means it is low in sodium, it's high in potassium, calcium for even bone health for us cancer thrivers, and even high in magnesium. It is also plant focused, similar to Mediterranean. However, there are specific targets which sometimes gets difficult for the real life implementation. So following the Mediterranean eating pattern is a practical way that fits really good with your real life. It's ranked by experts as number 2, very close to Mediterranean eating pattern, and then it also supports bone health similar to Mediterranean eating pattern, right? So if you are following Mediterranean eating pattern, you are covering all your bases so that you can look forward to 100 years of longevity on this face of earth. That's how I like to put it, okay? So what are the Mediterranean guidelines? As I mentioned, fill your plate with wide variety of food. Cannot reinforce more about the importance of fruits, vegetables. We'll get into, representative vegetables in the next class, whole grains too in the next class, beans, nuts, legumes. Olive oil is the primary healthy fat in the Mediterranean eating pattern, and herbs and spices are used very generously, and that adds to the flavor. Having seafood and fish as part of your weekly pattern at least 2 times per week. What fish do you guys enjoy?
Salmon.
Trout.
I like all of them.
All of them. Tuna, mackerel, yeah. Sardine. Oh, sardines is gold. Sardines with some cucumbers. You can add in some eggs into it, and then some hummus into it for that flavor. And it's a specific, sardine has a specific taste. Some of us do not enjoy it. So to kind of make it milder, you can actually add the other gold in Mediterranean to make it more palatable, right? Having poultry, eggs, cheese and yogurt in moderation. Red meat and sweets are actually reserved as treats in the Mediterranean eating pattern, right? So get into a little bit more details. What does this look like? In each of your meal, look for at least 2 types of vegetables or 2 colors of vegetable. Definitely one of them a green, right? So choose your green, and then the other one could be, I don't know, maybe some onions or some any of those colored bell peppers. One needs to be a green. That's the golden rule there for you if you want. So at least 2 types of veggies, at least 1 fruit, a serving of grain of your choice, and that grain needs to be whole grain. Olive oil at every meal. Olive oil is so potent in polyphenols and tocopherol. Both are anti-inflammatory. So olive oil at every meal. So for this upcoming week, if you want to experiment with adding at least half a tablespoon of olive oil, after you serve your meal in your plate, just put half a tablespoon of olive oil on top, and you will be able to put a check mark against this recommendation. Per day, 1 to 2 servings of nuts of your choice, right? You can have it with a fruit. You can put it on top of your oatmeal. You can put it on top of your salads as topping. So having at least 1 to 2 servings. What does a serving of nut look like? Nut or seeds? It's around quarter cup. Yeah, quarter cup of nuts or seeds of your choice every day, and 1 to 2 servings of dairy if you are okay with dairy per day. That is the guideline there. And what does your week look like, right?
Is dairy also 1 cup?
Yeah, 1 cup is 1 serving. And then per week, if you want some guidance, around 2 to 4 eggs, 2+ servings of legumes. And if you ask me, what is a serving of legume, half cup of cooked legume or bean is considered a serving, right? So if you are putting together your chicken salad, or if you have salmon based dish, if you add half a cup of bean or legume of your choice, which could be chickpea, black bean, pinto beans, even lentils, that kind of checks that off. 2+ servings of fish. And then, this is where I want to really highlight less than 2 servings of red meat per week and less than 2 servings of sweets per week, right? So that's the details of what a Mediterranean eating pattern would look like. Any questions here before I move forward? Okay. So a few ideas how to make this happen. With regards to vegetables, if any of you have smoothie in the morning or as your snack, including a cup of spinach in a smoothie will count towards that serving. A cup of baby carrots with hummus, which is actually our demo today, that will again count as a veggie for you. 1 cup of cooked broccoli on a side for your lunch or for your dinner counts as that vegetables. Fruits, one at the end of every meal. That's an easy way, and incorporate fruit as a snack. So 1 medium apple, 1 cup of chopped peaches or 1 cup of berries as an example. Nuts and seeds, as I mentioned before, quarter cup is a serving. So quarter cup of unsalted cashews, do not go for the salted varieties. A quarter cup of crushed walnuts on a salad, or if you are like me and love peanut butter to get that creaminess, even 2 tablespoons of peanut butter counts there. Legumes, as I mentioned before, half cup of cooked legumes is a serving. So half cup of chickpeas or black beans in a salad, or if you are going to make chili, even adding half a cup of your favorite bean or combination of beans. It could be red kidney beans or black beans or pinto beans will actually bring in that legumes into the equation. So just a few ideas to inspire you to see how you would be able to include a Mediterranean way of eating in your daily life. And do you want to see what a sample day would look like? There you go. So breakfast could be oatmeal with chopped nuts and sliced apples. Lunch could be tuna salad with mixed greens, olives, olive oil and lemon as dressing on top for those who might not like that fishy taste in their mouth. Dinner could be, so your fish one day is checked off there. Dinner will be baked chicken with roasted vegetables and brown rice, and snack will be sliced cucumber and bell pepper with hummus. It's pretty simple. It's not complicated at all, and that's the beauty of Mediterranean way of eating. It's not a single meal. It's like everything in your day actually counts to the Mediterranean lifestyle, right? So that's the idea here. My objective is to bring 1 sample day each time during the following weeks. That way, you will have a collection of sample days that you will be able to follow. Any additions that you would like to mention here? anything that can be changed, tweaked.
Could you do something for me?
Mhm.
Could you back up one and let me take a picture? I didn't get all that written down.
Sure,
Those
definitely.
ideas. See if I can get it. It's a long ways away.
I can let you come here and take a picture at the end of the class
Okay,
if that's
that's what I'll
okay.
do.
Okay?
Thank you.
I will remember that. So a bit more about Mediterranean eating pattern. As I mentioned before, healthy fats which are rich in omega-3s, and omega-3s do contribute to lowering the inflammation in your body, which will contribute to reducing your LDL and your triglycerides. Olive oil and fatty fish, meats and sweets are limited, considered as a condiment, as a treat. Wine in moderation, it is not essential, and it's a very, very, very small element of the Mediterranean eating pattern, contrary to what we might think, right? So those are some highlights there. What has research showed us about Mediterranean lifestyle and health? After reviewing all of these papers and a bit more, this is the essence of the research studies that have decades and decades of evidence. Following a Mediterranean eating pattern reduces the risk of heart disease and stroke, thus reduce the risk of cognitive decline, dementia, which means it promotes brain health, reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes, and of course reduces the risk of cancer. For us cancer thrivers, reduces the risk of recurrence. How? It reduces the symptoms of inflammation and any autoimmune conditions that might be going on in our body. So, there is evidence that Mediterranean way of eating does help reduce the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis. As I mentioned before, it promotes brain health and cognitive health. It does support bone health and muscle health. How? By reducing inflammation in your body, by reducing the chronic inflammation in your body. And how does this happen? It's happening because of the combined effect of all the nutrients and the compounds that are consumed regularly, right? Every day, every meal counts, because each of the meals will be high in fiber, very high in phytochemicals, polyphenols and flavonoids, and also antioxidants, right? So getting the essence from all the research, these are the highlights, these are the whys for why you would want to follow a Mediterranean eating pattern. It's healthy overall, right? So that's the message that I want to place here. If we can move forward to the foods of interest for this week, olive oil is the common denominator in the Mediterranean lifestyle. It's high in polyphenols, high in tocopherols, high in carotenoids, and contrary to the common belief, olive oil does have higher smoke point, and always seek out for extra virgin olive oil, which leads me to the next slide. I adapted this from aboutoliveoil.org. I always go for org.edus and really, legit sites, if I have the permission to say that word. So you might come across two types of olive oil, so two categories of olive oil. There is virgin olive oil and there is refined olive oil. Common names that you might come across when you go to the grocery store: extra virgin olive oil, and then under the refined olive oil you might see olive oil or light tasting olive oil. Next time you go to the grocery, scan and see what you see there. The difference is how it's made. Extra virgin olive oil is cold pressed. You would see I am not promoting any specific brand here, but you would see here that it's first cold press, right? So looking for extra virgin olive oil and looking for cold pressed will make sure that your olive oil has the most polyphenols, because that's the difference between virgin olive oil and refined olive oil. In refined olive oil, though it might be neutral in flavor, the amount of polyphenols is a little less because virgin olive oil is actually added to it after it is refined, right? And I want to bring to your attention the smoke point here. If you look at the smoke point, virgin olive oil, the smoke point is the temperature at which the oil disintegrates. It's actually high, 350 to 410 degree Fahrenheit. So if you are baking between these levels, extra virgin olive oil is totally fine. But if you are going to go beyond that, say you are using to deep fry anything, I would recommend going to the refined olive oil. So that's the difference there. If you look at the health benefits, both of them are high in oleic acid. It's only in the antioxidants and that polyphenols will you see the difference. Virgin olive oil is high in polyphenols and antioxidants, whereas the refined olive oil is a little less on that polyphenols and antioxidants because virgin olive oil is actually added after the refining process. With regard to price, you will see that virgin olive oil is higher in price point, whereas the refined olive oil is lower in price point, right? So that's the nitty-gritty about olive oil there. Anything here that you want to me to expand on? Extra virgin olive oil high in polyphenols or low in polyphenols? High in polyphenols. Refined olive oil high in polyphenols or low in polyphenols? Low in polyphenols, right? It's not that it's not there, it is still there. So if you want to, deep fry anything, go for the refined olive oil because the temperature will go beyond those levels, right? So that's the idea here. Let's quickly look at the herbs. Mediterranean herbs, lot of them, right? Rosemary, thyme, oregano. Last week we included oregano as part of our recipe. Basil, sage, lavender. So those are the herbs that are typically used. They are actually rich in bioactives. Bioactives are known to actually influence many of those inflammation driven biochemical reactions in our body and bring it down, right? And of course, those herbs do come with lot of flavor, and oregano and rosemary have up to 30% antioxidant compounds in as part of those leaves, right? So definitely add them when you are roasting your chicken or even when making your salmon. Add those herbs, that way you are getting some extra benefits, definitely more flavor as well, right? Now just to show it visually, the flavonoids and polyphenols even in those herbs really work to neutralize any free radicals or oxidative stress that's going on in each of your cells and does help regulate that inflammation. They help in reducing the cytokine production, which is basically those molecules that get produced in your body when there is some chronic inflammation going on. So the underlying idea here or the message here is cook your food with herbs and spices, right? Include them so that you can actually bring out the flavor, bring out the bioactives those herbs have, right? Basically the same idea, a little bit more here, but I want to go to this slide to show a different way of how to look at the Mediterranean eating pattern. I have mentioned here, this is from Cleveland Clinic, one of the institutions which promote Mediterranean eating pattern. So, basically the same idea but put in a different way. This is from yet another site. developed by the Family Medicine East Carolina University. So if you want to look at a plate, there is still, those fruits and vegetables occupy the most of your plate, followed by protein, whole grains. So, if you are used to seeing my plate as that reference point, you can still incorporate Mediterranean eating pattern as part of your daily life. So, what are the core principles of Mediterranean eating pattern? Enjoying meals with others. So, this week, make it a point to sit with your family, switch off all the distractions. If you could gently, even request your teenagers to say, hey, just for 15 minutes, could you please put that phone aside, right? So enjoying your meals with others to savor the experience. When distractions come into the picture, you're really not enjoying the experience of eating together. Engaging in regular physical activity, walking, running, swimming, going for tribal classes, whatever suits your daily life. Emphasizing plant foods, right? I cannot reinforce that any further. Lot of plants, lot of colors as part of your eating pattern. Using olive oil as your primary oil, and moderate amounts of fish and seafood at least 2 times per week. Limiting red meat and processed food, and then including dairy in moderation. So these points actually summarize what the Mediterranean eating pattern is. So how do we practice this for this week? As I mentioned a few minutes ago, add at least half a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil when your meal is served. You have plated your meal, it's in your plate. Add, half a tablespoon of it to your main meals, meaning your lunch and your dinner, or at least start with one meal, and then add handful of nuts or seeds. How much? A quarter cup. What counts as seeds? Pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, watermelon seeds, sesame seeds, you name it. All of them are very high in healthy fats, very high in omega-3s too. So, adding quarter cup of nuts and seeds as a snack or as salad toppings, or even taking like, a handful of pumpkin seeds after your dinner at night, you can be guaranteed a good night's sleep, because pumpkin seeds do have some amount of tryptophan there, some magnesium there that can help you feel relaxed and get to a good night's sleep. Okay, let's get to cooking now, and our recipe for today is easy hummus. I did wash my hands, so I'm going to use my hands here, and this time I did buy a can of chickpeas, and I followed, let's see what are the ingredients. It's 1 can of chickpeas drained and rinsed, quarter cup of fresh lemon juice. I bought lemon and I have squeezed it here. Quarter cup of well stirred tahini. Tahini is actually sesame seeds which are ground. So I bought this sesame seed tahini from HEB. You can go for any brand. This is to add creaminess, but it also has healthy fats in it. Make sure that it's nicely mixed, which I will do. 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil plus a little bit more for serving. Quarter teaspoon of ground cumin seeds, right, for flavor. Salt to taste. I have salt here, and then paprika for garnish is optional. What I did before I came here was I followed instruction number 1. In a small saucepan, add the drained chickpeas and cover them with water. Bring to boil, reduce the heat and simmer for 5 minutes to soften. If you have a pressure cooker like Instant Pot, you can even pressure cook it in that for just 0 minutes, and it does the trick, right? So that's in here. So point number 2, in the food processor, combine tahini and lemon juice, right? So I'm just going to first Stir the tahini just like peanut butter. The oil sometimes comes up, so it's important to nicely stir it. And then how much? Quarter cup, right? Okay, so this is half a cup. Yeah, no, I have a quarter cup here. So quarter cup of it. I'm going to try my best not to spill it here. Sesame seeds are also high in calcium, thus contribute to bone health. So quarter cup of tahini. For the first time you will see that I will be following the recipe to the dot. And then quarter cup of lemon juice. No, I should be good. If I want, I will call you. Thank you. So quarter cup of lemon juice. What else? Minced garlic. Okay. Minced garlic. If you like garlic, a lot of garlic, but I'm going to be mindful here. A clove. Right. I'm going to process it. Let's see. See, it became creamy, right? I'll actually scrape it down, do it one more time. The sesame seeds, the tahini is actually the one that adds to the creaminess, and there is a reason why they say okay, it's creamy now. I'm going to add the olive oil. How much olive oil? 2 tablespoons of olive oil.
How long will that keep in your refrigerator?
Around 3 days. But believe me, it goes away so fast. Because when you make it at home, I tried it last week, it did not stay. But if I buy a home, from a store, it will stay there. Nobody wants it. I don't know why, but when you make it at home, it's totally different. Olive oil, cumin, and pinch of salt. Cumin, half a teaspoon. There is half a teaspoon. No, not this one. Half a teaspoon of salt. Okay. Half a teaspoon. And a pinch of salt. Remember, you don't need a lot of salt here. The objective of salt here is to just bring out the flavor, nothing else. So maybe less than quarter teaspoon of salt, and then process to combine. Just going to combine it one more time. then I feel I'll add the yes, the chickpeas into it, and then hope for ta-da. Have to yeah, it's coming together. They do mention that if you want to increase the consistency, like make it, add a little bit of water, add a tablespoon of water on top. Yes, does need some patience. It doesn't, you know, come together so quickly. You have to make sure you scrape down the sides and give it a little I know we ran over time. Yeah. You guys ready to enjoy? Thank you for coming today, and I hope you try the hummus recipe at home. Thank you.